All right, so that picture there, we're going to focus on parallel lines. Do y'all remember ever seeing this little symbol on lines that I just did in red?
I don't remember what it means.
Okay, that tells us that those lines are parallel. So that little symbol on those lines tells us it's parallel. Now, sometimes, you know how like with angles, you could see two of them instead of just one or something. And that's usually meaning that there's another set of parallel lines that's just got one little arrow looking thing with it. But sometimes it will also be closed in like that, as more of a triangle. But either way, that is denoting that it's parallel. The other thing, let me find it on this page. Maybe it's not on this page. Okay, so let me write this then. If I write up here that A, and I have those two little lines also mean parallel. So that reads A is parallel to B. And that's going to be a very important piece of information as we're answering these questions, because if the lines weren't parallel, so if it didn't tell us that or show us with this little symbol, then the conclusions that we're drawing on the angles wouldn't be true. So it's important that we have that. So now, with these definitions, the first one is corresponding. Corresponding angles are on the same side of the transversal. So remember, this right here is your transversal. So corresponding are on the same side. So you've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 that are on one side, and 5, 6, 7, and 8 that are on the other. But they are also in the same position. So 1 and 3 are corresponding. 2 and 4 are corresponding. 5 and 7, and then 6 and 8. Just those two are corresponding angles. Now that means that those angles will always be congruent every single time. So corresponding angles are always congruent to one another. Now, they could either be that they are obtuse or acute. That's not going to be something that is always consistent, obviously, because you see here 1 and 3 are your obtuse angles, and then 5 and 7 are your acute angles. But I could change this picture, tilt it a different way on that transversal, and obviously that changes it. But corresponding are on the same side of the transversal and the same side of the other lines. So that's meaning they are in the same position. The next two, alternate interior and alternate exterior. So exterior is mentioned first. Alternate, they are on opposite sides. They are alternating with one another. So they are alternating, but they are on the exterior. So that is referring to outside. Exterior are 1 and 5 and 4 and 8. Exterior. Interior are 2, 3, 6, and 7. So your exterior are 1, 5, 4, and 8, but they are alternating exterior. So that means it's 1 and 8 and 5 and 4 that are alternate exterior angle pairs. Once again, they have the relationship that they are congruent. And that will always be the case. Those things, like the congruency part, is not something that's like, oh, it's just in this situation. As long as the lines are parallel with that transversal, that's always going to be true. So we have 1 and 8 and 5 and 4 that are alternate exterior. The next one, alternate interior. So opposite sides. So 2 and 7 are on opposite sides of the interior. So 2 and 7 are alternate interior, and also 3 and 6 are alternate interior. Same thing. Those are going to always be congruent. But the last one, consecutive interior, some textbooks call this same side interior. A lot of the ones I've used before have said that. So same side interior or consecutive interior, they are on the same side of the transversal. So here, same side of the transversal, but on the interior. So that's 2 and 3, and then the wonderful 6 and 7, okay? So they are same side interior or consecutive interior. What were you going to say? They equal 180, exactly. So with those, that will always be the case, that those two that are consecutive or same side interior, they will always add to give you 180 degrees. Because ultimately, they are supplementary angles. So these are supplementary.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
So they add, I know, exactly. Textbooks that I've used in the past have always called it just same side interior angles. But consecutive interior means the same thing. So when when we have the parallel lines and the transversal, honestly, you're either looking at congruent angles or supplementary, adding to give you 180. Now, I wrote this note at the bottom because I wanted us to think about some other things. From the last chapter, and even really the last two, it's come up a few times. What other angle relationships do we see in this picture? Okay, we see adjacent. Now, do adjacent angles give us a guaranteed, adjacent angles will always add to give you this? No, and adjacent angles aren't always going to be equal. But we do see adjacent. We see plenty of adjacent angles. We've got 1 and 5, 6 and 5 and 6, 7 and 8, 8 and 4, right? There's plenty of adjacent angles. What other relationships? Vertical angles.
Oh, yeah.
Vertical angles do give us a relationship. What's that? They're congruent. So, Bryce, what's one vertical angle? One pair?
1 and 6.
1 and 6. Savannah? 5 and 2. Another one, Bryce? 3 and 8. And then the last one? 4 and 7. So we have 4 pairs of vertical angles there that are giving us that congruency as well. And then there's one other thing. What's one other angle pair that we talked about? Similar to supplementary.
Complementary.
Well, we did talk about complementary. The only time, though, you would ever see... Well, let me finish this. The only time you would ever see complementary is if you actually had 90 degree, and you're really not going to see that with this because then you'd have another angle drawn in there. But what else did you say?
Linear.
A linear pair. So, 1 and 5 is a linear pair. What's another one?
2 and 6.
2 and 6. In that same 1, 5, 2, and 6, what's another linear pair?
2 and 1.
2 and 1, and then 5 and 6. So in that top section and in the bottom intersection, you have a total of 4 linear pairs. So that also kind of points out that this angle and this angle, 1 and 6, and 3 and 8, are always going to be the same, right? Congruent. They're always going to be equal. And then angle 4, angle 7, angle 2, and angle 5 are also always going to be congruent. So when we are looking at parallel lines in a transversal, you shouldn't have 8 different angle measures. You truly should have 2 angle measures in this one little picture that add to give you 180. But besides that, like, you're using those same 2 numbers over and over. Okay? Now, we're going to look at a couple of times where you do have more than just those 2 things drawn in. So, here is this. Okay? And I am going to start you on something with this, and then I'm going to let y'all kind of go. The first one is the easiest one. So, I think I'm going to move down and just go to puzzle E first. And I want us to look at this just a little bit together. And then I'm going to move you into the other ones and let y'all just kind of try them. All right, so in all of these, they tell you that 2 of the lines are parallel. So in this bottom one, puzzle E, we're looking at this picture here. And this one's a little more complicated because there are 2 transversals, and those transversals even intersect, right? So we've got a little picture down there that's kind of like a 360 is what I think of when I see it. But what's one thing that you know off of this picture?
7.
Angle 7 is what?
127.
127, okay? Bryce, is there something you notice that we would know right off the bat without doing any other calculations? The other thing that they give us is this 65 down here. So these are the 2
Angle
given.
8 equals 60.
Angle 8 equals 65. So those are 2 that we know right off the bat based on vertical angles for the bottom one. Well, and really vertical angles for the top one. Okay, so those are 2 things that we know. Now, some of these are like much easier to look at. But one thing that you have to try and do is in this, ignore extra angles when it's not with what you're trying to answer a question on. So when I'm looking at this and it looks very complicated, I have to try and ignore, if I'm wanting to figure out up there in 1, 2, 4, and 5, they don't correspond to that 127 over on the right. Okay, there's no relationship between those that we can say, oh, angle 1 also has to be 127 or angle 2 has to be 127. There is nothing that states that, nothing that shows us that. So when you're trying to go over to that left side, using that 65 is going to be necessary. So what else in the 1, 2, 4, and 5 section, what else in the 1, 2, 4, and 5 section is also 65?
4. No, not 4. 5.
5 and 1. Okay, so very good. You ignored seeing like the 9 and 10 kind of building to give you the other, and you're able to recognize that that's got to be 65. Now, before I let you just go and finish all 4 of these in this on this page, how would I go about finding angle 3 or angle 2?
I mean, I already know the answer.
But well, there's got to be a way to figure it out. So how are you figuring it out?
180 minus 127 will give you angle 3.
Okay, 180 minus 127, and
that
then
is
over here it would be
180 minus 65.
180 minus 65. So, Bryce, what was angle 3?
Angle 3 would be 53.
53. And then what about over here with angle 2?
That would be 115.
115. Okay, I want y'all, this one here, like I said, the bottom 2 are the harder 2. I want you to see how many of these you can fill in the blanks for. If there are any that you're like unsure about, skip over it. But in all 4 of these pictures, I want you to see how many of you can fill in the picture for. Take a look.
E.
No, that's why I said all 4 boxes.
Oh, 4 boxes.
Right,
Oh,
there's
I
4
thought you just
boxes.
meant the 4
Okay, okay, then now finish it.
Okay, my bad.
Nope, it's okay. Go back and finish it. I'll zoom in to these 2 here. Anything? So those at the top. Did y'all do those?
Oh, I just thought we were.
All right, let's start talking about
I
them.
think I got it.
Okay, check off in the top 2 boxes because I think those 2 are the easiest 2. Okay, anything with those? Do I have any questions with, comments? Okay, those are the most straightforward because the transversal lines don't intersect one another. So you're just looking at the alternate interior, vertical angles, all of those. But down here comes with just a little more complications, I guess. I'll zoom in over on this one. So for this side, this in the center may have been the hardest piece. I don't know, for you to figure out. But ultimately, this top left and the bottom right are paired together with your alternate exterior, your corresponding angles, all of that. That top left and bottom right are the parallel line with a transversal. And let's see, that transversal is called, what's the letter? Well, that one's labeled T. So transversal T makes those 2 sections have relationships to them. And then transversal U creates, I'll choose a different color, the top right and the bottom left to have a relationship to one another. But the center is not related to any of your corresponding vertical, alternate interior, alternate exterior, none of that, because they are not dealing with another parallel line that's cutting through that. So you can't really use your other pieces. You can create, so one thing I'll show you. In this center section, you can always create a parallel line ultimately here. And you can say, okay, well, if I had another parallel line, then, and obviously this wouldn't be number 9, I would have an angle here and an angle here. That top angle would be related to which one of those angles up there at the top? Just the top one. What would that be related to? Would it be related to the 44 or the 136? This one, here, let me erase that dot. This one, where I just put that blue dot out.
It'd be 136 because they're same side here.
But which one is it congruent to?
Oh, 44.
That one would have to be congruent to 44. So I can use those other angles to help me in making my connection here. But you're having to draw in another parallel line to allow that, because then down here on this one, what would the one I just put the star at, what would it be related to? And it's not going to be in the blue, it's going to be in the red. What would it be related to? The 52. And isn't it true that 52 plus 44 is 96?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can take the information from this picture to find those two. But more than likely, a lot of people's first thought here is to take the fact that we have a triangle, which is what I thought you were referring to when you asked about the triangle a little bit ago, is I thought you were referring to this picture. But having a triangle and knowing that a triangle is 180 degrees, therefore 52 plus 44 subtracted from 180 would give you that 84 degrees.
Yeah, that's what
And then you can build from there to get your 84 and 84 that are vertical, and 180 minus 84 is 96. So you do have two ways to approach solving this one. It's kind of, what do you see first? Some students think, well, I can't just draw in some other parallel line, but you can. That is, I haven't done anything wrong by drawing in a parallel line. I have just used that to create more relationships in the problem. Okay. All right. Anything else on this picture? Is everything good here? Yeah. All right. And then here on this one, check to see that you have those values. All right, we good there? Awesome. All right, now flip to the back side of this. Now, in order to answer these questions on the back side, you have to understand the relationships of that they are either equivalent or adding to give you 180. And if not, you're going to get these wrong every time. Now, you also have to make sure you pay attention to the letters that they tell you. So CBE, I suggest to you that you write it in on your picture. CBE, they're talking to you here. CBE is 14x plus 17. And then they say FEH is 19x minus 23. So FEH is down here, and that's 19x minus 23. What is the relationship between those two angles?
What was the C conversion?
Corresponding. They're
Why
corresponding,
did I say conversion?
which means they are what?
Equal to each other.
Equal to each other. So I'm going to let y'all solve that.
My old teacher, Miss
Uh-huh.
Wells, I love her. She was my school mom.
Yeah.
She has the same name as my mom. She taught me there was like different letters that they made
Mm-hmm.
on the. I think C was either same side interior or exterior
Mhm.
for both. The F, when you like drew lines,
Yeah.
that was corresponding.
Mm-hmm.
The T, I don't know what the T was.
I've never looked at it like that.
I'll have to email her and ask her.
Yeah.
But that helped me.
And then make sure you actually answer the question that it asked for, because it doesn't say solve for X. All right, x should equal what?
8.
8.
Okay. And then answer that question of what is CBE. I know you're getting ready to plug it in.
Yeah.
So you take a minute to do that.
Oh wait, I did the wrong one.
What'd you get?
129.
129? Is that what you got?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go down to number 13 real fast. Okay. 13 says, same idea. They tell us the measure of angle 6, though, is 8x minus 3. Measure of angle 7 is 15x minus 1. What is the relationship between angle 6 and 7? They're, okay, same side interior.
Equal to 1.
So they're set equal to 180. So we say 8x minus 3 plus 15x minus 1 equals 180. I'll let y'all get a head start on solving it. Do y'all have the value of x?
Okay.
Okay.
I ain't got my calculator.
Do you not have them with you?
No, I do. I'm
Oh.
just
Gotcha.
doing it the old fashioned.
I gotcha.
You lucky.
Oh wait, there's a spot for me right there.
Yes, this one ends up asking you for every angle measure to finish out that picture. All right, what are we getting for x?
8.
You got 8? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, 8 times 23 gives us that 184. So with this one, and I think you've started the process over there, Savannah, once you have that, truly, you could just only plug it into the measure of angle 6 and build off of that one. You could plug it into the measure of angle 7 and build off of it. To me, it would be easier to do 8 times 8 minus 3 in my head. But that's just for me. So I would do angle 6 and say 8 times 8 is what?
64.
64 minus 3 is 61. So if I know that angle 6 is 61 degrees, I can now answer 4, 2, and 8 quickly. And then I can do my subtraction from 180 to answer 1, 7, 3, and 5. It's totally up to you. But you're finishing answering those questions there. So your homework tonight is going to be to finish this page here. That is answering question 10 and 11 that are just one single angle. And then 12 and 13 finish out all those angles once you have solved for X. Questions? Okay.